Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Welcome back to r/ProRevenge, where in this episode you'll hear two great pro-revenge stories. So the first one, OP uses his skills to get back at a coworker, and the second story, OP's dad gets back at a Facebook marketplace scammer. Both really, really awesome stories. Guys, I hope you enjoy the tales today, and do hit that subscribe button for future stories. So this story is from the 90s. During an ongoing feud I had with a coworker who was a complete dick. Although the following story is but one of many, this particular story is very special to me. Let's call him BB for Bully Boy. Now, he was a grade A jerk, and he definitely didn't like me. He was always on my back, he openly insulted me, and he was the big, dumb, mean ruffian. But poor BB. What was he thinking? Picking on the IT guy. So, at this point, I really feel the need to point out, so you don't think that I'm the a-hole. He had caused me a fair bit of butthurt over the years. So this particular chain of events started when he borrowed my power adapter to run his Walkman. Google it, kids. When he returned it, the adapter cord was ripped out. He told me he broke it in anger when his Walkman didn't work. He later told me that he wasn't going to replace it because, well, I don't have to. I then asked him to just buy the 20-cent piece and I'll fix it myself. And nope, he said again, I don't have to. This was classic BB though, and it bugged me a lot more than it should have. I guess all the little immature things that happened over the years just sort of built up. My payback would end up spanning years. My primary goal for revenge was to make him break his own Walkman, and because he had anger issues, this should be doable. So I had a little bugging device. The way bugging devices are meant to work, you plant it on someone's desk, then tune into its frequency using any radio, thus you can hear what they say. However, the way that I was planning to use it, I kept it on my desk with the mic covered and tuned into the radio station he was listening to. So by turning the bugging device on, I could send static to good old BB's radio. Or, with extra power, I could cut the volume to his radio completely. So as he sat opposite of me on the other side of the office partition, the range was about 2 meters. It would be quite effective, so let the games begin. It was cricket season, and he loved his cricket, and there were 3 test matches coming up. So on the first test match day, I said, "Hey, I know you said you didn't want to replace my adapter, but can you at least pay me back for the part?" And he said, "F off." Okay, it's on. After a while of him listening to the game, I turned on the bugging device, and whenever the commentator said the game's score, I would flick the mic, causing static. The radio commentator would say things like, "Yes, what a hit, look at him run. That brings the score to... Yep, it's such a close game at..." So by the end of the game, he had not heard the score a single time. All of a sudden, I hear a bang. BB hits his desk with some force, and the boss says, "Hey, calm down." I almost got him at that point. Now, one thing about my coworker is that he was always friendly when he wanted something, and he always came to me for tech advice. He comes to me and says, "Hey, I got a reception problem, but it worked this morning." I told him it must be the batteries for sure, and he needs to buy new batteries. So later on that day, I collect my free batteries from his trash bin. So while I waited for the next test match, I would constantly mess around with his reception and sanity. But I did always make sure to ask him to replace my adapter before I started messing with him. So during the next cricket match, I pretty much did the same thing. I cut out the reception as soon as the game started to get exciting. The commentator says, "Yes, he hits it. Oh my god, it's in the air. It's in the seats. Oh my god, there's an intercept. But what?" Smash. He was so angry. The frequency of him hitting things and getting upset was increasing, and this was a good sign. So BB, being frustrated, said, "Hey, I keep getting new batteries, but I still got a problem." I asked him what brand he got, and he said, "Duracell." I told him, nah man, you gotta get Energizer. They're made specifically for these Walkmans." This was obviously a lie, but what did he know? And great, I got some good Duracell batteries from his trash now. So after lunch with the problem still persisting, and me with another set of AA's, I strolled around to his desk to help solve his problem. I told him, "Oh, those speakers are really old and cheap. That's gotta be the problem." So later on that day, being quite mad, as he really didn't have good reception for his test match, he was listening to the music he liked. However, it was really annoying him as every chorus and every verse was interrupted by static. So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I hear, "Ugh!" and he ripped out his speakers and threw them in his bin. The boss comes out and says, "Calm the heck down." Meanwhile, I'm sitting at my desk, still chuckling. Now is time to turn the heat up. So the next day he comes in with his new speakers, and everything was fine until I told him that I heard he was going downtown later. How about picking up that piece from nope? I'm really surprised he hasn't noticed the pattern yet. So another day brings another test match. This was a great match, as it was close and the winner would depend on the last couple of overs. I had given him good reception for most of the match since I was busy, but for the last 20 minutes of the match, I was relentless, constantly either flicking the mic giving him pops of static or periodically at key points in commentary just upping my power and effectively turning his radio volume off. Through all of this, he was getting more and more agitated. He needed to know the score. It was driving him up a wall. So when the game and commentary was winding down and they said the amazing score for the last time, I cut out everything completely. He smashed his own Walkman and threw it into the garbage. With my revenge complete, I had made him go through many sets of batteries, throw out his speakers, and smash his own Walkman. For a while, I did feel a bit guilty, but then he would say some random insult to me and my guilt would melt. And I always did ask him about replacing the part before I played my evil games. I did not tell a soul about this payback until the last day that I worked for the company. It's been well over 10 years and my old boss says he still tells people the story, and I don't know if he ever found out. Guys, I love this revenge story. It's so satisfying. And the best part about it is his coworker never found out that it was OP. Hey man, you never ever mess with techie people. How much were Walkmans back then? Like 200 bucks? Definitely a lot more than OP's 20-cent piece that he kept asking for. The guy should have just given him 20 cents. So this happened a few years ago on Facebook Marketplace to my dad. I'm the kid. So my dad told me this story about a week ago when I asked why my birthday present a few years ago disappeared in mysterious ways. And oh boy, I was not prepared for that. So the backstory. I was around 13 at the time. I'm now 19. I was hooked on Minecraft and me and my dad spent quite some time on the Xbox 360 version. I got good grades in school, so he decided that it was time for us to switch to PC. Now, he already had a good PC for his work as an IT programmer, and he wanted to get me a cheap laptop. Now, we had a hard time and had almost no money, so it had to be cheap and used. He saw an offer on Facebook Marketplace from a girl that he and my mother met at a club a few years back. Let's call her Spaghetti Girl. She was selling lots of stuff because she moved in with her boyfriend and the kids. Among that stuff was a cheap laptop. It was nothing fancy. It was pretty scuffed and only the internet port didn't work, according to her. No big deal, and for 54 bucks, it was worth a shot. My dad contacted the girl and wanted to pick up the laptop just in time for my birthday. When the day came, he went to the agreed spot, but she did not show up. She called later that day and told my dad that she had to wait for her boyfriend to wipe the hard drive, as she did not trust my dad. My dad assured her that he had no intentions to snoop around in her stuff and that he could help her with that. After all, he's an IT guy. And she says, "No, my boyfriend works for the CIA and he's a hacker." Yeah, right. A CIA hacker in Germany by the name of Hans? I don't think so. Okay, fine. She insisted that the laptop still works and just the network port is busted. After a week, my dad picks up the laptop, paid 50 bucks and headed home. He couldn't test it on site because the battery was dead. So back at home, the laptop was of course dead. He opens it up and finds a mixture of nicotine, coffee, and undefined fluids. Close your eyes and imagine the sound of Velcro being pulled open. That was the sound the keyboard made when he tried to lift it up. I remember that sound because I stood next to him and wanted to get my laptop going ASAP, and I cried the whole night. Of course, my dad contacted the pasta lady right away. She insisted that he must have broken it as it worked yesterday and no returns. My dad was calm on the outside, but he locked up his office door for 4 hours and instructed us to not go in there for the next few days. So, remember that my dad was in IT at the time? Well, it turns out that he's pretty good at his job. He was a guest lecturer at some universities, held talks about data recovery on conferences, etc, etc. My dad plugged in the still good hard drive into his work PC and had a look. Of course, hacker Hans had only formatted the drive. He recovered some files to look for any logs that would indicate the laptop had worked yesterday. The last files were from half a year ago. Everything indicated that the laptop was dead for at least half a year. Great work, Hans. On the second evening when my dad was looking for evidence, he stumbled across some pictures. One was an elderly man with a guitar, and a few from the nightclub back in the days. I remember how I heard my dad laughing inside his office, but I wasn't allowed in and the door was locked. That upset me back then, but now I understand. So, the spaghetti incident. She had some pictures taken of her with some spaghetti meticulously rolled up in a circle on her breast. Lots of spaghetti. Lots and lots of spaghetti. with a blob of sauce in the middle to cover up the nipples. Her boyfriend was sitting next to her with some chopsticks. I mean, who in the world eats spaghetti with chopsticks? And who pays a photographer to take pictures of that? My dad tried to ask her for money back and even offered to help her get her files back. Didn't mention the spaghetti pictures. She goes on to attack my dad publicly on Facebook. Stuff like, there's this guy, dad's name, who tried to blackmail me. What should I do? And no, I don't want your pictures, idiot. And to top it all off, she says, when my boyfriend learns about this, he will hack you. A few private messages followed and also a few insults. My dad had enough of that. He suspended his Facebook account and went silent. My dad almost lost his job and family over this, but he was smart enough to save all the chat logs with her, so he could prove to my mother and his boss that he wasn't blackmailing anybody, and he wasn't sending nude pictures to anybody. Yet. So, the revenge. After a few months, my dad has a new Facebook account, and everything was back to normal. He even joined the old nightclub alumni group on Facebook to connect with a few friends from back in the days. So one beautiful day, he finds a post in the group by Spaghetti Girl, asking everybody for pictures of the good old days as a thief stole her laptop and tried to blackmail her with deleting the pictures. My dad kindly responded. He had this evil grin on his face when he told me a few days ago. He says, "Oh hey Spaghetti Girl, long time no see. I have quite a lot of pictures from the time. Found them on the old hard drive. Even some of you and your boyfriend at a nice pasta dinner. Do you want me to send them via PM or should I just share them here?" "Nah, I'll just share them here, as you wish." So the fallout. Facebook blew up that day and the weeks after, at least in our little slice of the world. A few things happened. She was dropped by her friends. They all cut ties with her. It turns out that she pulled a similar thing with the bouncer of that nightclub, got him fired and expelled from their group of friends. He was the creator of said Facebook group. Noodle Girl and Chopstick Guy were quickly both tagged in all the pictures by their former friends. Even her cat was tagged in one of the pictures. So, her boyfriend Hans of 12 years recognized one of her tattoos that he paid for. So the picture had to be taken recently. He recognized the bed that she was on, but it wasn't the chopstick-wielding dude in the picture. He was now Hans Solo. My dad never really looked that much at the pictures, so he didn't see that Spaghetti Queen had laid out quite a bunch of drugs, weed, pills, all in a Ziploc bag in the background of her pictures. This minor detail was discovered by Chopstick Master's current girlfriend, who of course told the police, and both of their parents. The kids were taken away for a while, and I don't know what happened afterwards. A few colleagues of hers saw that post, and she quit her dream job of being a cashier at Aldi soon after that. She had to move out of Hans's flat. She moved across the country, if her new Facebook account is to be believed, and she used the name of her cat. I know I'm being a spiteful prick over this, but I think she got what she deserved. And $50. Guys, I did not know that if you format a hard drive, you can still recover the data. What in the world? So you're telling me that someone out there may have my spaghetti pics? Because I've sold a few laptops in my lifetime. Side note though, what a great revenge. But $50 for a laptop though, that's pretty darn cheap. You'd almost expect it to be broken at that price. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /ProRevenge. Guys, if you enjoyed the stories today, do hit that thumbs up. And if you missed the last episode of our /ProRevenge, it's right here. OP's neighbor falsely reports OP's sweet dog of attacking them, and OP gets their kids taken away. Check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you.